going down to the Amazon, and the first time they met a shaman down there that dealt with ayahuasca, and the psychiatrist brought with him LSD, and so they kind of like exchanged their potions, their magic with each other, and so they got the ayahuasca and they took it, and they had the typical thing where ayahuasca kind of translate as the death vine, and they had the visions of Mother Nature, of the serpents, and everything pretty standard. And then when the shamans later took the LSD, and they were like, "Oh, what you think about it?" They thought they were going to show him something, and they said, "Oh, it was all right." And they're like, "What did you see?" And this is through a translator. And they said, it was kind of weird because all we saw is these people in white smocks, and they they didn't necessarily have the words for it, but how they were describing it is that they had these people in a manufacturing little pills of the LSD, or the little stamps of the LSD and Monsanto's. And so it was funny because this kind of goes into this kind of collective unconscious, and Rupert Sheldrake has this theory, and I kind of mentioned it in an earlier talk that we had. It's called morphogenetic resonance, and it's kind of saying that how the environment, or it kind of goes into the cosmic serpent, where you store information. I think it's both into the environment itself, as far as kind of having this cloud of knowledge for whatever your species, or with the allies of those psychedelics, and you get to access these packages of knowledge. But also in the cosmic serpent, it talks about the DNA is the serpent, and this is the imagery, and it's unraveling junk DNA, which they thought so. And they called it junk DNA because they didn't know what it did. And this one mathematician, he came up with this golden ratio for languages, and and so he ran that golden ratio program of languages on the junk DNA, and the sequencing of the junk DNA matched a ratio for language. And so this is pretty accurate as far as identifying languages. And so there is information that is written in there, and it says that what's stored in the junk DNA is like, volumes and volumes of information. I forgot exactly. It was like like the equivalent of putting like 1 billion Bibles into like the storage capacity of what's in the DNA. And so there's something, and I think this is kind of what Miguel kind of brought up in the beginning, is that there's something really strange, and I'm in a more non-dualistic point of view, as far as I don't think it's one or the other. Like it's both. The outer path and inner path, they kind of mirror images of each other, and so information is stored and gained vastly different than what the old story is. The old story is you read a book and you go to school, and this is how you get information, and it's very linear. But with the whole kind of like quantum physics, the non-local information, and this is kind of what happens. And I don't even think it's necessarily within the psychedelics. Psychedelics are the tool, and yes, each substance is an ally, and each substance has its different lessons and this different collective knowledge that is stored within it. But it's your own consciousness. It helps you to attach into consciousness, and consciousness is kind of the raw data of everything. And so this is what happens in your imagination. Einstein had these great thought experiments where he would just imagine things, and then later he would figure it out with mathematics, and then it became, his theory of relativity. And a lot of human progress has happened through these imaginations, and this is all tied together. Dreams is a part of this. Meditation, your imagination, psychedelics, all of this is part of this kind of imaginarium where it's like the waiting room for manifesting reality. And I think the hard work is when you get these lessons, is now how do you integrate that within yourself, but also too, how do you bring that and bring it to the world? And you do it through art, but that's I think that's like the real work of any meditation, any psychedelics, any imagination. And it's hard because the way society is structured right now is not very good conducive for this work. It's actually set up against us to do something like this.